Said, yeah, I'd love to do a joint podcast with Molly. That'd be great. It'd probably, just so you know, it would up the age rating because when we start bouncing off each other, we sling a lot of shit at each other.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm cool with that. You know, I'm still down where you were, where monetization doesn't matter. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Pointless Podcast. I'm your host, Darren, and I'm here with a very special guest today, JoshDub Gaming. For anybody that doesn't know, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself and maybe give a brief summary of what kind of videos you make and stuff.
Yep, I'm JoshDub. I've been making videos for about 3 years on YouTube. Pretty much exclusively do VR games and pretty much exclusively do like comedic sort of games, just shit talking and having fun, basically having as much fun as we possibly can.
Yeah, sort of comedy style gaming videos.
Yeah.
Specifically VR, which has really been working out because as of last night, I think, you probably know when, but yeah, I woke up this morning to see you hit 1 million subscribers, which is huge.
Yeah, I'm told I'm the first exclusively VR channel to hit 1 million, so that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So yeah,
and also one of few Australian channels, one of few channels from South Australia, etc.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. A lot of fun.
Yeah. How's that all feeling? Like, is it different now or just a bit of the same? Hasn't sunk in yet or anything?
Well, I don't know if it hasn't sunk in yet, but it feels about the same as hitting when I first hit 100,000 because I never expected to hit 100,000 and I certainly never expected to hit 1 million. I feel like I kind of just fluked my way along, but I've certainly put the hours in and everything like that, so
yeah.
It's I don't know. It feels pretty good, I suppose. But it's I'm certainly haven't taken my eye off the game. I'm already thinking where the next content's going to come from, planning the next videos and stuff like that. It never stops, and yeah, just got to keep focused on making good videos, I suppose.
Yeah, got to get to 10 million eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's something I certainly don't expect to hit either, but I've said that every step of the way now, so obviously I'm not real great at foresight.
I think a really interesting part is when we did like a first bit of run of the podcast and stuff with a couple of people, and not all of that came out. We talked when you had 280,000 subscribers, I think.
Right.
And I remember you talking about like goals for the year and all this stuff.
Yes.
And 1 million was nowhere near like what you were aiming for.
No, my goals were
way under.
Yeah, I think at the time my goal for the month was to hit 10 million views in a month or something like that.
10 million views, yeah. Which you've gone over.
Yeah, I think I'm on 20 for this month.
Like well surpassed.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I think I was hoping to hit 500,000. Yeah, it's been cruising along. There's a number of key changes that I made. Like last year, in December was really when I started thinking about like changing it from a hobby into a potential career option. After I basically focused on revenue a little bit more, and I got the first payout from December, and I was like, wow, I could really. This is actually a possibility. I never thought it was a possibility because of all the, the doom and gloom about adpocalypse this and adpocalypse that, and the amount of people that are saying, it's just not a viable option anymore. So that's what I always believed until I had a serious go at it, and then I was like, hang on a sec, you can actually do this. You just have to watch your content a little more, because I used to be a lot more crude, vulgar. A lot more vulgar and stuff like that. And then I started kind of dialing that back a bit, trying to make it more about more interesting language and stuff like that, rather than just, you know, flipping out and playing it the Aussie way, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when we talked as well, I even thought it was odd. You were saying like what you'd have to do to make it full time, which I don't know if you are doing it full time now, or are you still working?
Well, actually, I rang my boss. Well, about a month ago, I said to my workplace, "Look, I want to try and focus on doing this full time." So they gave me a couple of weeks of unpaid leave to give it a go, which was really, really good of them. They certainly didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I rang my boss yesterday actually and told him, no, I'm not coming back. So it's worked out way better than I expected, being able to have all my free time put towards it now. I haven't increased the amount of my uploads. I've put my extra time into increasing the quality of the upload, so to speak. So before I used to record for an hour or an hour and a half and then edit for 6 or 8 hours to cut that down into 10 minutes. But now I'm recording for between 2 to... The other day I did an 8-hour recording for a 10-minute video. So...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been a great phone call to be able to call up and just be like, yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it was a good phone call, but I don't have any... it's not one of the sort of... They helped me out by doing that, so it's not one of those sort of negative things really where I was like, yo, fuck you, and just like threw my underpants in their face and like took a dump on their desk or anything like that. It was just like, hey, thanks for the opportunity and everything like that. It's worked out. So, you know, it makes more sense for me to focus on this at the moment. So hopefully it continues working out. It's really the hopeful thing.
Yeah, well, I guess it was the demonetization, because I remember after we did the last one when you had 300,000, I remember thinking like at 300,000 and getting like 100 to 300,000 views a video, you should be able to monetize it enough. Yeah,
well, at the time, I didn't realize how big of a difference that would be, because I used to have like, I don't know, a third of my total uploads. Even sometimes I'd have like 4 in a row that are demonetized. And as of 3 months ago, when I first started really focusing on it, I haven't had a demonetized video. It's all been green. So that's really made a big difference to not only, you know, me being able to take it seriously as a full-time option, but it's also increased the amount that the videos are suggested, and, you know, helps a lot with the views and stuff, because YouTube will obviously push your content more if it's more family friendly and stuff like that. And even though I'm kind of I'm treading the fine line of family friendly, I've kind of worked out exactly what gets demonetized and what doesn't now through trial and error. So yeah, I've got it.
I found it very interesting that you weren't getting demonetized. I assume that you still would be.
No,
because of the content and some of it.
No, I've through a lot of trial and error, I think I've pretty much, like, the main things really are the first 30 seconds to a minute of the video. Even if you have bleeped out swear words in the first 30 seconds, you'll get demonetized. That is really the key part. So it's the first 30 seconds. Like even bleeped words, you should be careful with if it's too much. I pretty much bleep all slurs, all F words, all C bombs, and if there's any graphic descriptions of sexual things, then sometimes they'll be bleeped too. I kind of count the amount of bleeps I put in a video, and sometimes I just cut the language out altogether. But that's kind of been, because I mean I've had a Beat Saber video demonetized for non-family friendly content. I mean, I got to be the only person who's got like a rhythm game demonetized, and I think it's because I said, I don't know how I managed to work this in, but I said something about farting into a Walmart bag and using it to suffocate someone. So I think, I mean, I can't remember the mindset I was in when I said that, but
Yeah.
That's got to be the only thing, you know. It's a bit of the roll of the dice sometimes, but I think I've got it under control at the moment.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be doing good, and now that you've hit 1 million, I think you have a promise that you have to keep now. You tweeted a while ago that when you hit 1 million subscribers, you're going to do a Fortnite stream and change your name to Norman Yeatus. Is that something we can expect now?
No, that was I didn't look. I made a lot of dumb promises, and that's probably the most tame one. I'm real glad that no one's gone and dug up any old ones. I've also promised to give a few reach arounds to particular people. There's you know, I didn't think it was going to happen. I also said that if I hit 400,000 by PAX in October, which is still 2 months away, that I would dress up as Vape Nash. So I've really...
That would actually be interesting.
Well, I've really kind of overpromised, and I think I'm going to have to under-deliver in this case, because, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, could do it as a bit at some point, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing any Fortnite stuff. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it's a bit of a best to avoid it, I think.
Even though if I did,
I don't want to get that sort of crowd.
Norman Yeatus would definitely be my call sign if I was to do that.
Yeah, Norman Yeatus isn't too bad.
It's definitely one of my better names, and I think that's kind of says a lot about the sort of content I put out as well, if that's the best I could come up with.
Yeah, that's true. So the other thing, I think in February or March, you started introducing Rekid into the videos.
Yeah, it was I'm gonna think of some dates here. Yeah, I think it was around. It was March that we
3 months ago.
It was March that we met him, and April that we decided to invite him to the recording crew, which is kind of like a little invite-only group. If we run into someone that we think is, you know, consistently a good time, then we'll invite them to regularly make content with us, and then we'll promote them and that sort of thing. So yeah, and then shortly after that, around that time was when I cut censoring from videos. And I think around that time is when I cut my face cam, and also started promoting on other social media a lot heavier. And I think all of those things came together and kind of helped obviously push the channel a lot harder.
Yeah, like I think the first video with him was the Avaliable VR Battle Royale, which I think crossed over 1 million views recently. No, the first video was a Climb Me video. It has the very first moment that we run into him in the video. Oh, okay.
Because we get me and Mully, you know, who's my basically kind of recording partner. We collaborate a lot. We play a lot of games, and you get a lot of kids that want to, you know, act like a twat to try and get into a video when they realize it's us. And we thought that he was no different, but he was actually kind of, he was pretty funny about it. And then we didn't get his details or anything, but we just kept playing games, and he kept finding us. He said later on that he stalked us to find what server we were playing on, because he'd been watching the channel for a while. And then kind of went from there.
So all the people watching, all you have to do is stalk Josh and get into his games.
Yeah. You've certainly got no shortage of that now. I got a resume the other day from a voice actor, and he was like, "You've got narrator on your channel. I just want you." And he wrote like a list of names of characters that he can voice act. He's like, "I could be a great addition to the team," and we get countless kids saying that they can better and louder than Rekid. I've had several re-offs Um, but yeah, no, it's
Because, I mean, it is a huge thing now, like, what you've started, like, Mully has blown
yeah.
up completely over the last
Mully,
few months.
Mully's exploded. I have never in my time personally seen a channel start with that much momentum ever. He basically he's started on 100,000 subs almost in his first month, and there's just been rising every month from there. It's insane. And considering Mully when I first met Mully, his channel was bigger than mine on his old channel. And, he's worked real hard for it, real hard for it, and his heart's in the right place and everything. All he's ever wanted was to get a silver play button. And then when he started his VR only channel, this was like, you could see the drive in him that this was it. This was going to be it. So I'm real glad that that's worked out for him in such an insane way. So, yeah.
Even beyond that, on the socials, the other day I saw him featured on TikTok, and he's got almost 900,000 followers on there alone.
Yes, he does. He is the TikTok king, as he likes to remind me. Pulled something like 30 million views last month just on TikTok.
Yeah, that's a very interesting platform currently.
It is a very interesting platform, and it works really well if you know how to use it properly. Very, very well.
Yeah, you gotta have good stuff as well, but it's not even, I feel like it's not even oversaturated yet. Like, it's still kind of growing.
Yeah.
There's still room for a lot more people.
There is, but it's kind of we kind of kept it to ourselves a little bit when we first realized the sort of the effect that it can have if you post the right content on it. Because not a lot of other people are doing it for things apart from, cringy voiceovers and stuff like that, and dancing to memes and shit. So when we started posting, and because our game videos are really just a collection of 15 to 30 second like funny moment clips, you can just pull 30 seconds randomly out of me or Mully's video, and that's basically a TikTok or a highlight or whatever. And it was us promoting that really, really heavily on there and Instagram that really started moving things very rapidly.
Yeah, it's like a neat little inside trick.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like there's still a lot of room. Like, I've barely started playing around with it, and a couple of the videos I posted from scratch have gotten like 50, 60 views, which I was like, oh, I'll put a few on, nothing will happen, and then it's just like, oh no, it's a good platform.
Yeah. I think that the good thing about it is that, when you're using the platform, you don't have to pick from things like thumbnails or, or titles or anything like that. It just force feeds you the next video. So it gets your content in front of other people, whether they like it or not. And then it's just about capturing them quickly in that video, because obviously it's geared towards the younger generation, and that generation is all about short attention spans and, on-demand stuff. And you got to capture their attention real fast. And that's what you have to focus on to succeed on those sort of platforms, I think.
Yeah, like, it's not about the title or the clickability of the thumbnail. It's just the video starts playing and it's about what's in the video, what's the content.
That's right, because the problem with YouTube is obviously a huge amount of importance goes to the title and thumbnail, like a massive amount. You could have the best video, and if people don't want to click on it, if it has a shitty thumbnail or a shitty title, then it's just not going to pull the views that it probably deserves. On the other hand, you got hundreds, and that's an issue with YouTube. It's shitty content with amazing titles and thumbnails, clickbait, that pulls millions and millions of views. And that's just how it goes. Got to get that clickbait.
I've even seen you playing around with it a little bit recently. Like last week you were doing all caps titles, and this week you've been doing all lowercase titles.
Yeah, I have. That's something that me and Mully discuss a lot, is titles and thumbs and what's working and what's not, what isn't working, and that's something I've had to pay a lot more attention to as well as I've started taking it seriously, is the analytics and how things perform, because YouTube provides a huge amount of analytics for you to be able to, analyze and work from and stuff, so that's really good in that regard.
Yeah, it's just all about like working out what they mean and how to utilize them and everything.
Yeah.
Which is very complicated in itself. But I mean, yeah, you've slowly worked it all out now.
Well, I feel like I have, but it is kind of a roll of the dice sometimes. Things that work well sometimes just do not work well other times. So it's constantly evolving, and that's really the thing about YouTube. There's not just this works every time, I'm just going to do this forever, because that's just not the nature of how it works. It evolves, trends evolve, memes and jokes and humor evolves over time. You have to keep up to date with it, and you have to keep changing it. And yeah,
of course. Like just the other week, I think it was the Area 51 video was on the trending page.
Yeah,
that's got to be good as well. I was like in the top 50 or something.
Yeah, that and the very next video were in the trending page as well. The camping with the boys
really?
one. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So that was good.
Yeah, because even though you now have like 1 million subs and stuff, it feels like it's kind of self-contained in a sense. Like a lot of the videos that get 1 million views could be on the trending page and go much wider, but it hasn't happened too much yet.
No.
Like I'm still just waiting for a JoshDub video to be like in the top 10 trending for gaming with like 2 million views in a couple days or something.
Well, it's I don't know. I guess that comes with time. The sub count has grown faster than comparatively, like the subs have grown faster than the views, kind of thing, which I think is a result of promoting it heavily on social media and stuff, where people see a little clip they like and they go and sub. They don't particularly sub from watching the content. They sub from seeing the channel mentioned elsewhere, because we've got like a thing with Unilad and the gaming moment sort of channels and stuff like that. So they take what they want from the channel and they promote it as well, which obviously boosts those numbers.
Yeah, I haven't even seen those. They're probably on Facebook. I don't use Facebook too much.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
Yeah. But yeah, you actually have the most interesting growth I've seen, because the view growth is like a constant slope up, but the subscriber growth was like one big jump up, and then it's just been like flat consistent at like 150,000 a month for like 4 months straight now.
Yeah.
But the views have just been going like up every month.
This month will actually be my best month in views and subs. So we're still climbing a little bit.
It's been like that for a while, hasn't it?
What's that?
It's been like the best month for like the last 3 or 4 or something, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like
and almost
better. Yeah.
Pretty much every video I upload is the best performing video. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of 24-hour performance and that sort of thing. So it's nice, because when the subs first started blowing up, because it's something that you see all the time in channels, constantly, all the time, is people that jump on a trend. They find a game that's performing well, and then they spam the living shit out of it on their channel, and then the trend dies, and they've without realizing it, they've built this channel around this trend, and then when the trend dies, the channel dies, and you see these channels that had an explosion. They'll have 150,000 subs in a month, and then they'll be getting like a couple hundred views a video and bleeding subs for months and months and months afterwards, and they're everywhere. You see it all the time, and that's what I was afraid of happening. So when it's first started blowing up, that's when I was very careful with what I uploaded, when I uploaded it, and stuff, to make sure that, you know, I was showing off whatever I thought the trend was, you know, the reasons to stay with the channel. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh wow, your channel's going really, really well, and I'd say, you got a vacuum cleaner in the background?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
You're right.
Yeah, got to do the spring cleaning and all.
Yeah, spring cleaning.
As you were saying.
Yeah, it's just, you know, people were saying, oh, congratulations on your big boost, because I think my biggest sub day was 16,000 I got in one day, which I was pretty blown away by. And then, yeah, people were saying, oh, you know, congratulations, and I say, oh, well, you know, I'm a bit of a realist, you know what I mean? I try not to get my hopes up too much. And I said, oh, let's see where we are in a month before you start congratulating me on anything, you know. And yeah, over the past 4 months, it's just continued accelerating. So I don't know, it's going to crash and burn at some point or whatever, but I'm just trying to use this opportunity to make the best shit I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much the same way. I mean, you know, in like half the conversations we've had outside of the podcast, I've been putting forward suggestions that I hope would continue that trend, you know, because I don't want that to happen.
Stop.
I don't think anyone
You don't want it to crash, yeah. Especially after I've gone and quit my job and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the other things that I've noticed too, it's good when you have people like Mullen and stuff around, because from my experience of doing YouTube, it's always like you always have good ideas, but then it's really, really good to have people to like bounce it off, especially when they know what you're talking about and stuff.
100%, you know, and that's probably one of the biggest things, I think, is having a good group of people that you can bounce off, because the content just makes itself. Because, like, let's face it, the amount of quality VR games is quite a small pool, you know. So when you're trying to make, you know, 150 videos a year, it's like you out of what, 30 or 40 solid games, it's difficult. But for games like Pavlov and stuff, you know, which I've probably done like 30 or 40 videos on, you got a good decent group of people. You give them some guns, and you got ideas for days. You know, I think we played like red light, green light in one. We play Russian roulette all the time. Sometimes we just play like hide and seek. Or, you know, it's just the content sort of just makes itself. And then you got VR chat. God help us, Jesus Christ! The amount of you can just walk into that game and watch what happens, and then you got yourself a video.
Yeah, like I feel like what you've started doing, there's like different types of gaming channels, and there's like the PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye type of channels that play like the recent games and stuff like that. But then on the other end, there's like the Funhouse group channels where they just play like a couple new games, a couple old games, but it's mainly the characters, the Josh, the Mully, the Rekid, and everything that make the actual videos interesting.
Yeah.
Which I think you've done. I think you could probably play a fishing simulator and still get a good video out of it. Yeah,
I think so. Everyone's kind of got their character, and everyone's kind of known for acting a particular way. And you know, I feel like that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah. So, I think when you talk about, you know, hoping that it continues the same way and everything, I think we've already had this chat, but I think for everyone else, it would be interesting what your plans going forward are. Is it just like keep uploading the same style videos? Is it going to get bigger? Is anything going to change, sort of thing, after 1 million subscribers?
I don't think anything will change too drastically. I mean, we're just having too much fun with that at the moment, you know. It's just like our videos are just us having as much fun as we possibly can in 10 minutes, and obviously that's a lot of fun to make that sort of stuff. You know, and it seems to be growing faster and faster and getting better and better. So, I mean, we're just gonna keep doing it. You know, the one thing that I will probably start trying to do a little bit more is getting a little bit more of a personal relationship from myself with the viewers. So I might start. I did this for a little while and then I stopped, but I'm going to start doing it again at some point. Have a little chat, like, to the camera, like maybe 10 or 15 seconds, where I talk about the game, or, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. Just show my face in the video a little bit more. And the only other thing is probably not going to be noticed, that I'm going to start putting a lot more effort into, is just the content itself, like ideas and stuff like that. I'm gonna start putting aside more time to come up with good ideas for things to do in videos and stuff like that. But that's not something that's really going to be noticed.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Unless it's something like completely different. I know, like a month ago or something, I saw Mr. Beast or someone like Mr. Beast do like a 24 hours in VR challenge, and I was like, there could be some style of this you could do, but unless it's something like that, the ideas are just going to be pretty much like the same style videos, just like better content, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's good.
For instance, like something like The Forest, we're planning on doing like a The Forest, the horror game.
Yeah.
It's got like a pretty good VR mode that they've tacked onto it, and we've considering spending like a day or so building up all these challenges and doing like the Survivor in the forest with all of us, and then someone gets voted off after each round, and there's elimination rounds and stuff like that. It's just all basically just filmed in VR.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Question on that though: does the Forest VR have the creative mode style support, or is that only on the PC version?
No, it doesn't have the creative. What
way difficult.
Well, what I usually do is I open it up in the PC version, and then use some hacks and stuff to build everything, and then I open it up in VR, because otherwise it's just ridiculous to try and do it in VR.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that would be like a really grueling process.
Yes,
for one
that
video.
would. Yes, fuck that. To put it simply, I did that for like there's a video where we went in the Forest VR and went down these huge slides, and I built them all on the PC version.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like that one and the one where you blew up the tree were the two that I was thinking of. Like if you did those in survival version, that would just be painstaking.
Yeah.
Because I've played enough to know how long it can take to build one little thing.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ! Like you build a nice little log cabin and you spend like an hour and a half cutting down trees and shit. And that's if you're not getting your face mauled off. And then VR just adds a whole other level of frustration to it. So
yeah,
which is fun to play when you're playing it, but when you're doing it for the sole purpose of recording a video, it's like you spend a whole day prepping for a video, and that doesn't include just the recording or the editing, So
yeah, like you don't want the setup for the video to take longer than recording and editing the video does.
Try not to, depending on how excited I am about the idea. It's bound to happen sometimes, but try not to.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So I think the only other thing I wanted to ask about was PAX, and then we've got a bunch of fan questions to get through.
Okay.
So you mentioned PAX. I know that you're going.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that, or are you just going on your own? Like, do you plan to do any meetup, or is there anything going on that people might be interested in?
I just love PAX. I love conventions. It's like a chance to get out of the house and be around a huge group of like-minded people. So I don't have anything really planned or anything like that. I'll post a social media thing and say, yo, I'm here. But like 90% of my audience is from the States. Like 98% of my audience is from the States. So I'm not expecting, if I held a meetup, I don't think that I'd get like a larger response or anything like that. But I'm always down for that sort of thing. But I'm pretty easy to spot. I wear a lot of weird vaporwave shit when I'm walking around. So
I think like even when you say 98% is US, even if you only have 1% of your audience being Australian, it's still like a couple hundred people that could turn up. Like, it's really big now.
Oh, well, like it's still like a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
Like if you take into account my views, like type of thing. Like, say for instance, I got 20 million, because I'm working off the analytics that YouTube gives me. So 20 million views for this month, and hang on, let me just have a quick look now. Because that's one thing, I have like Australian brands approaching me and they're like, oh, what are your metrics sort of thing for Australia? And I'm like, it's not that great. It's you can see when the videos perform the best and it's like American time,
Yeah. Well, you do upload at annoying times for an Australian.
4 to 5 a.m. I try to.
Yeah. I always wake up and you've got a video like 6 hours ago, like in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And it just it makes a huge difference when you upload at that time. So Australia's 3.7% of my views over the last 30 days, which is
that's a lot less than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's still a decent amount of people though. Like
it's still a decent amount. Yeah, I've been recognised in public a few times. Once in a nightclub, a couple of times at conventions and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's mainly from the States. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go through some of the questions that we got here.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. So the first question from Mr. Ducky is, why aren't you as good as narrator?
Well, of course Mr. Ducky would ask something like that. Mr. Ducky is a character that your narrator, who's one of the people that we record with, has made up in one of his gaming videos on his channel. So the reasoning that I'm not as good as the narrator is obviously because I don't have a sweet, soothing voice. This is the best I can do. Good. Is it? Maybe I'm better than him. I'm going to change my voice up. Here we go.
You could do an entire video as the narrator if you wanted to.
Oof. Yeah. I can just imagine the comment section after that.
Take his audience.
Yeah.
Alright, and then you've an interesting audience. Chicken stew with marshmallows asked whether you have a sex toy that you use daily.
Well, first of all, that name makes me more uncomfortable than the actual question. Okay, so I'm gonna be up at night thinking about that combination. Do I have a sex toy that I use daily? Well, that's obviously my VR headset, my Vive. That's the only thing that gives me orgasmic sensations on a regular basis.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
How do you work that
gives
out?
Me, yeah. It's plastic. It vibrates. I enjoy it.
So you're using like the Vive controllers with the like hole in them, or what's going on?
Look, mate, I'm monetized. I'm trying to keep it that way. Okay.
Okay. And then we got a response from Mullen to William. So Mullen was mentioning the different things that you've been doing to his balls, and William was interested in what those are.
I don't know why he has to try and ruin my happiness every opportunity he gets. One moment I think that I'm free from him, and then he just pops up. You can never get rid of him. Never record with Mullen. He's like herpes. You just won't be able to get rid of him. So what does he want to know? He wants me to answer what I do to his balls.
Yeah.
He's just jealous because I can actually fondle him with my Valve Index controllers, and he can't get them because they're not available in Australia, and I managed to pull some strings to get mine. So you just tell Mully, at least I can fondle balls in VR.
There was a follow-up to that. William Index 70 was hoping, in response to that Mullen would come on the podcast with you to have a joint podcast in the future.
Ugh.
Would that be interesting, or would that be horrible?
That would be horrible, because, like, contrary to my comment section, I don't actually smoke weed at all, because I'm one of those people that I get like a bad mental reaction to it. It stresses me out. So even though I've got glaucoma, my eyes are sensitive to light, so it looks like I'm high all the time. It looks like I'm stoned out of my fucking head. And then it doesn't help, obviously, every time I open my mouth, it's dumb shit usually. So people naturally think that I'm high all the time, which couldn't be further from the truth. So no, I would hate to have a joint with Mully anywhere, anytime.
I misworded that. William was wondering if you would do a joint podcast episode. He said that Mully should come on in the future with you.
Oh, a joint podcast?
Yeah.
I thought you meant smoke a joint on a podcast. Like, I'm thinking Elon Musk sort of shit. Well, at least you know my thoughts on that. But yeah, I'll definitely do a joint podcast with Mully.
As well.
It sounds like you're probably sitting there like, what the fuck is this? Is this guy high right now? You've been a little defensive about weed, aren't you, Josh? Yeah, I'd do a joint podcast with Mully. I said, yeah, I'd love to do a joint podcast with Mully. That'd be great. It'd probably, just so you know, it would up the age rating. Because when we start bouncing off each other, we sling a lot of shit at each other.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm cool with that. You know, I'm still down where you were, where monetization doesn't matter. Just need good stuff. Don't even have to worry about censoring much anymore.
Yeah. All good. You may learn a few things too.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. There's one last question, which is actually a really interesting one. From Horny Owl 69. So I guess the name does not imply how good the question is.
Yeah, it kind of sets a precedent, doesn't it?
Yeah. You have some weird fans. So Horny Owl is wondering, what changes would you like to see in a future VR headset? Better tracking or new features, etc.?
If you like. I mean, the things that I would like the most is more comfort and more field of view. I think in terms of like clarity and stuff like that, the headset's already there. Like, I got a Valve Index, and the only reason I don't use that right now is because it doesn't have a wireless adapter, so I'm still using the Vive Pro.
Right.
But the Vive Pro to the Valve Index, there's quite a jump in field of view.
Yeah.
But they're obviously quite big, bulky headsets, like even at the best of times, even the best designed ones and stuff. So if you after seeing the increase in field of view and how much that does for immersion and stuff like that, if you could have, for instance, like a Vive Pro sort of quality display, but a wider field of view, and somehow, like in the future, knock 2/3 of the weight off, I think that would really be like starting to approach Ready Player One sort of fantasy VR levels.
Yeah, so it's just about more iteration.
Yeah, and the controllers to a certain point, but I really like I don't know, I'm just really happy with where it is right now. The knuckles, I love the Valve knuckles. I think they're brilliant. They increase immersion. The finger tracking is a little bit here and there, but it's bleeding edge tech, so there's always going to be a bit of that. That's the sort of thing that can be improved in. I don't know. It's hard to imagine that sort of things. I've seen some VR gloves that were insanely bulky, like they're wide up sort of thing to whatever machine it is they're using.
Yeah.
But they have textured feedback, like they have like little air pockets under the fingers. So when you grab something, you literally feel it. That's obviously like the end game, sort of being able to feel textures, and it has like little mechanical things built into the fingers. So when you grab something, it holds your fingers back, like you're actually you know, like if you were to
Jesus.
close your hand around a VR block, your fingers would stop when they're supposed to. But like when you look at the thing, it's like the size of a Samus's arm cannon from Metroid. It's just huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, something like that going forward would be, you know, ideal. But you know, I can't even imagine how they would do that. So I mean, the Knuckles for me right now, that's got the finger tracking. It straps to your hand, so when you throw things, you just open your hand. You know, there's no buttons or anything to press. It's just it's all very natural, and I really like the way they've done that. So yeah.
Alright, so just a couple more iterations and we'll be heading into the bold future.
I think so. Technology moves ridiculously fast, you know. Particularly when it's backed by something like porn. And apparently VR porn is a booming industry, so...
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure it'll grow quick.
What are you talking about? Is this in relation to the porn? Or
I guess a bit of both. Don't know too much about that industry.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty much, that's all the questions that we had.
Sweet.
Yeah,
They must be behaving themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think, I don't know, might have to see if there's any more in the future. Maybe if you guys leave comments on this video, in the future we might get Mullen and Josh on and then ask them both a couple questions.
Yeah, do it.
Alright. Other than that, if you have anything you want to plug or anything like that, all your links will be in the description if people want to check those out. I think that's the end of the podcast, unless there's something you want to plug or anything.
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having a chat.
No worries.
It's nice
Thanks.
to talk about it.
Thanks for coming on.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in